Hey everybody, this is Dr. Flight. Hope you're doing great today. I want to do a little brief video here talking about the topic of research careers, industry, and kind of what it's all about. And kind of as we get going, I'm going to move the slide forward. I want to highlight a couple things. This is a big professional field. There are literally billions of dollars spent in marketing research every year. And so that money is spent to do research. And so as such, there are lots of people who do it, lots of people who are involved in research process. And so I want to highlight a couple things. One is if you're interested about research, the research industry, learning about agencies and finding jobs, go to the website greenbook.org. And it's here on the screen, greenbook.org, Greenbook. This is a resource that you could use to identify trends in the industry, but also identify jobs in the industry as well. Okay, so beyond that though, what I want to do is, this is a big screen with lots of different moving parts on it. So I'm not going to go through all the little pieces here, but I want to start up at the left where you see market research suppliers. Okay, and remember the kind of terminology and wording here. When you're a client or when you're a marketer and want to make a decision, you need information. So who are you going to go to get that information from? You're going to go to a supplier of that information, and it may be somebody inside your own company or organization. It might be an internal researcher. So you go to that internal researcher, say, hey, I'm making this decision. Can you help me gather some information about it? That would be the internal supplier. Now, a lot of bigger companies have researchers inside, like a small research department or a research manager. That is a career path that you could certainly pursue, and lots of people do. The other option, though, is if we don't have somebody in-house, or if our in-house researcher doesn't have all the skills or the time to be able to do our project, what we'll do is outsource the research to a research supplier who is like at an agency or a company outside our outside of us, outside our organization. This happens all the time. Nearly every company out there gets data or gets information from external sources. So this is a very common thing to go out, find an agency, go find somebody who can do this work for us. So beyond this, then, there's two different sort of ways to go. You've got some agencies or suppliers who will do everything when it comes to research. That's a full service agency. The other option is a limited service agency, which would be limited in the sense that they only do one aspect of the research process, or they're very limited and maybe they only work in one particular industry. So they might have some limited space there. Typically, when we talk about limited services, though, it's one part of the research process that they do. So maybe I'm a researcher and I work for a company, so I'm an internal researcher, but I need somebody else to gather the data for me. So I might hire a limited service agency, go collect the data, and then I take the data and I analyze it. I produce the report, and then I work directly with with the client or with the agent or the person who's making the decision in my firm. Okay, so again, lots and lots of money gets spent on external agencies. There's a lot of work and a lot of professional opportunities in external agencies. And you really learn how to do research extremely well working for an external agency. Internal researchers may not be as skilled from a research perspective, but they understand the business. They understand the organization extremely well because they work for them. They're internal. Okay, so when we select an external research supplier, what is it we want to do? So again, consider yourself as the decision maker. You need research to be done. So you're looking for an external supplier or looking for somebody to give you this research. So number one, what is their reputation? What, how well do they are they known? Can they complete our project, and are they good at completing projects on time? Are they honest? Are they true? Are they ethical? Can they be dynamic and flexible? Some agencies only do certain projects a certain way, but what if my project needs to be done a little bit differently? Will your agency be able to do that? Will you be flexible enough to change and adapt what you're doing? Do they do good quality work? Great question. What kind of experience does the supplier in this case have in our research and in our industry? Are they familiar with the thing I'm asking them to do? And do they have the skills to be able to do that? Kind of what are their technical expertise in? How solid are they? Do they have things that are unique to them? So a lot of times an agency will set itself apart because it has a specific process or a specific data technique. And what is that technique that they offer? And then finally, what will be our communication methods? How are we going to communicate with each other? How will that work? These are all questions that you want to ask as you're choosing and selecting an agency or specifically an external supplier of research for you. So this is kind of, again, going back, this is the industry, this is how it's broken up. Some specific kind of vocations and jobs deal, again, with this internal component and then this external component. If you look for a job outside a firm, we sometimes call that the supply side of market research. If we were talking about jobs that are inside the organization, internal, we call that client side research. So client side research would be, I've got a job working at a company and I'm doing research for that company. I'm on the client side. Whereas if I work at an agency and we do research, but we then either sell it or we do it on behalf of clients who are outside the firm, I'm on the supply side. Remember also that this is a really, really diverse field. I mentioned earlier that you can do a lot of international work in this area, but you can also be very industry specific. So you could do market research only in one specific industry if that's what you are so inclined to do. So one area of marketing or one industry, you can be very specific, and many agencies are, many suppliers are, kind of experts in one specific field and not, kind of generic, although those exist as well. As we just pull up, I'm just going to pull up some ideas of jobs in terms of client side or internal careers. So you have a CMO, but answering, or somebody who answers to the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, may be the Chief Researcher, so Chief Marketing Research or Vice President of Marketing Research. They oversee all the projects, and they are very involved with creating strategy. They use information to create strategy for the firm. Research directors then will oversee the execution of many different projects all at once. So a company might have 5 or 6 projects happening. The research director will oversee all of them and ensure that they're all moving along and on pace for completion. The assistant director or assistant researcher will very often be a person who's assigned parts of projects or maybe oversee projects as a whole. They supervise research staff, those types of things. But this will be the assistant to the research director, the assistant director, and then senior project managers are individuals who have one project at a time. They're responsible for one project, and they do at times the entire project themselves, but they again report to the research director to make sure that they're getting the data and the information on up there. Okay, client side. On the supplier side, we have kind of similar to job descriptions. There's probably a few more here. Starting again, maybe at the top, senior analyst. They're going to work directly with the client. They're going to be the one typically giving the last presentation. They're going to take the completed work. They're going to assemble it. They're going to look for insights that they can provide that client that has hired them. The analyst and the statistician, the analyst will certainly handle data. They'll take data, put it together. They'll do some higher level statistical analysis like the statistician or the data processor. The junior analyst is what the position is that a lot of folks come into as a bachelor, from a bachelor's program in marketing or marketing research. They're assigned parts of projects where they gather data. Data is assembled. They assemble the data. They maybe prepare the data for analysis. They probably do some number crunching. They learn the software that the company uses. It's oftentimes an entry-level position with a bachelor's degree. And then finally, the field work person is out gathering the data. They're doing the interviews. They're moderating focus groups. They're doing they're culling the data together and things. So that's what when we do field work. It's the collection in the field of the data. Okay, so all kinds of different channels for growth in both career paths. Whether you go work for an agency on the supply side or work for an organization on the internal client side, start and move up. And in both cases, you have a very, very relevant role in making decisions within the organization as you reach those upper levels. Okay, all right, so yeah, we've covered a lot here. I want to just kind of go through a couple more concepts here and then give you some resources that you can use down the road. Preparing for a career. Here's the thing, big takeaways, communication skills. You're going to see this on both sides here. Business skills that are considered critical for just job aptitude in general, and then 5 skills candidates need for opening positions today. Now, this has been done, this 5 are listed from research that's been recently done. When we do a search for jobs, these are the skills that are mostly being asked for. Being able to do some statistical work, being able to interpret data, presentation skills, being able to communicate multiculturally, so being able to understand multicultural environments and communicate in those spaces. Negotiation skills. So again, further up you move in the career, the more you're going to work with clients where you're negotiating with clients to do their work. And then proficiency in technology. So understanding software, being able to do statistical analysis, those types of things. Those are all super important. At the end of the day, in business, you kind of need to be on your game with a lot of these anyways. I mean, these are all things that are going to yield you benefits in business. They're exceptionally going to yield you benefits in marketing research. So preparing for a career, take all the marketing courses that you can take. Be a marketer, understand marketing decision making. Also, understand consumers. Understand, the behavioral elements that consumers have as well. Take courses in statistics, quantitative methods, acquire skills associated with digital media. So internet skills, but also app skills, social media skills, those types of things. If you can create a mindset where you're developing programming skills, that's a big plus. It's not required, but if you can do programming in R or program in Python, for instance, those skills help develop it's a mental skill set that helps you down the road. Take those courses in consumer psychology, consumer behavior. absolutely work on your communication skills. And then finally, creativity. I know this is kind of something you wouldn't think to say like in a presentation on research, but researchers are inherently creative, thinking of new ways to do things, thinking of connections between variables that might exist that we can test. Those are all sort of creative activities. So being dynamic and creative is a soft skill that will actually help your career in many, many, many ways down the road. So don't feel like if you're a creative person and you're like, oh, this is all math. No, that's not the case, not at all. In fact, be as creative as you possibly can if you want to pursue this career. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is just share with you some organizations where you can get more information. You can obviously pause the video or fast forward the video as needed, but I'll leave you with Insights. Insights.org insightsassociation.org is a hugely important professional organization that has lots and lots of information about marketing research career, and so forth. Also for folks who are more qualitative in nature, so they like interviews and focus groups and things like that, there's the QRCA association. That's good. I'll also draw your attention to the AMA, the American Marketing Association. That would be a good place for you to start as well about marketing and then also marketing research. Okay, so again, pause as needed or fast forward as needed. Here's some additional research organizations. If you're interested in research in any way, do your research, no pun intended. Identify, kind of look at the industry, the profession as a whole, and kind of plot your course on how you can be a research professional if it's something that you are interested in. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. Look forward to reaching out to you, and best wishes.